Good afternoon and welcome back. It's Sunday today, and yes, we are continuing our month of organic goodies, a cornucopia of organ greatness. I don't know. I'm not very good at thinking up names on the spot like that, so we'll have to work on it. What would you call a month of organ music? Is there a sort of a collective term? What do you think? Let me know in the usual way down there. Right, so September continues, and I hope you saw our last couple of videos. Our first September video was the theatre organ train style bluesy boogie thing that we did. And thank you so far for all the comments you've posted, letting me know what you think that piece should be called. We've had some rather cool examples. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's a rather fun little video with a piece of theatre organ music. Yesterday's video, I presented our new organ CD project, Fraser Gartshore's Organ Works. And that's started now, and the first supporters have already chimed in and are getting the ball rolling, which is really rather wonderful. And 2 lucky people have already chosen the VIP package, which means they get to commission a composition by me for that recording. Check it out below, the links are there as usual. The crowdfunding campaign is listed there, and you can check it out. Join up if you want. You can buy a CD in advance, you can buy a CD with the music book in advance. Everything is going to be written out. We're talking real compositions here. Will all be written out, and that's all very exclusive for the time being. And of course, if you want to really get one of your own organ works composed by me for you on that CD, then check out the VIP package as well. There are only 10 of them, and like I say, in one day 2 already disappeared. So that means at this rate, by the end of the week, they'll all be gone. So if you want to be one of those lucky few, get on with it. You know what to do. Right, I promised a little piece of music for today, and we're going to do that. And I'm going to do this from time to time. I'm going to sort of take pieces of music that everybody kind of knows. They weren't necessarily written for the organ. A piece of music that everyone sort of recognizes, but don't necessarily know the history behind them. And this little piece of music I've chosen today, it's by Edward Elgar. Elgar is probably one of the most English of all English composers. Not just because of his huge moustache, but because of the way he wrote his music. It's a very sort of English sounding thing, but not many people know all that much about Edward Elgar himself. Let's have a little look at Elgar's private life. So, Edward Elgar. Now we're talking a composer who was born during Victorian times. He was knighted during Edwardian times, and then he died during the reign of King George V. So he spanned 3 British monarchs. He was, like I say, knighted by Edward VII. So we've got a bit of Victorian, Edwardian, and, well, late Georgian coming in here. So what does that mean for Elgar himself? Well, when I studied music, of course, at the University of Edinburgh, and we did history of all sorts of things, we of course studied bits and bobs by Elgar and various other composers. And it was all very sort of, scratching the surface and looking at the musical side of things. And I was never really interested in that, because that's all been done before. I was always interested in the personal side of things. So I sort of delved into the private world of Edward Elgar, and there's a very interesting side to Elgar that not many people know about. I suppose a few people do these days. It's more public now, but he was quite a ladies' man, quite a romantic, a very sort of romantic chap, and he regularly wrote and dedicated pieces of music for young ladies. Even as a happily married man, he was still very much active in the romantic world, shall we say. Let's leave it as that. He was a kind of hopeless romantic. He had various muses throughout his life as well, and wrote for them, wrote them letters, wrote them cryptic messages. He was a very sort of playful chap, cheeky chap, I think is probably the way you could put it. He was a hobby chemist. He blew things up on a regular basis. I think he actually had something patented, some kind of hydrogen sulfide 5, if I remember rightly. There was some kind of weird thing that he invented, and I'm sure it was patented. I can't remember exactly, but he was quite successful at that as well. And of course, he was a very successful musician, very successful composer. Everything he did for money. Now, obviously, he did it for romantic reasons as well, but he was very well paid, and he was a very wealthy musician by the end of his life. His wife was actually a very wealthy woman herself. She came from a very, very sort of well-looted family, as one might say, and she pushed him throughout his entire life. She really gave him a kick up the backside to get going, and she was instrumental in getting him knighted, and she also sort of pushed him to look into new technologies. Elgar was one of the first composers of his day who sort of embraced the technology of recording, and I think it was HMV, his master's voice. I think it was HMV that was very sort of heavily involved with Elgar, and vice versa. And his works were composed in such a way that they would fit on old 78 records as they were at the time. It was very cleverly done, and Elgar made himself a very, 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 very lucrative living doing these kinds of things. So here is a little piece of music that Elgar wrote as a rather young man. It's opus number 12, so we're talking a very early piece by Elgar, and he wrote it as an engagement present to his future wife, who he was at the time very much in love with. I think he always was in love with her. He was in, like I say, he was in love with rather a lot of people, but he was definitely always in love with his Mrs. Elgar. Caroline Alice, her name was. I think they called the daughter Alice, is that right? Oh God, this is going a long time ago. This is 30 years ago when I studied, so this is all coming out of the grey matter at the back of my head here. So anyway, so I think that's all right. But yes, this piece of music he wrote to her as an engagement gift. Now, whether that was in place of an engagement ring, I don't know, but this is what he wrote for her. And he rather cleverly changed its title. Bet you didn't know that. It's now called the Salut d'amour, which is of course love's greeting, if you want to translate it into English. He originally called it Liebesgruß, which is the German for love's greeting. He and his wife were regular visitors to Germany. They had their honeymoon in Germany. Did you know that? In Bavaria. And during the honeymoon, they composed a lot of music together. Now, I'm not sure if they did other things that one would normally do during a honeymoon. I'm sure they did, but they composed a lot of music during the honeymoon, including scenes from the Bavarian highlands, 6 orchestral and choral dances, as it were, and some rather exciting music. I think it's actually my favourite music by Elgar. I love it. Scenes from the Bavarian highlands. If you don't know it, look it up. It's absolutely wonderful. It's all about sort of beer quaffing and hunting in the Alps, all that sort of stuff. It's very idyllic. Elgar had a very idyllic outlook in life at the best of times. But then again, back in those days, if you had cash, then life was quite idyllic, I think. Anyway, back to our love's greeting. He originally gave it the German title, Liebesgruß. And then at some point he thought, if I changed it to French, Salut d'amour, it will sell more copies. French was always the romantic language, certainly back in those days. So he changed its title, and the piece became internationally famous. Now, it was originally written for violin and piano. I think it was violin and piano originally, in the key of, E major, I think, originally. And it's, of course, been transcribed for all sorts of instruments over the years. And this is an organ transcription that I found in an ancient volume of organ ditties. Back in the day, the organ was not just a church instrument, it was of course a town hall or concert hall instrument, and regular lunchtime recitals were held around the world on these concert organs, and the organists played the popular tunes of the day, including stuff like this. So this is a transcription of Elgar's Salut d'amour for the organ. It's been transposed into B flat major, presumably because it fits better on the organ. I don't know, but here it is. Now, it's an English piece of music with a French and German title. So to continue the European theme, I'm going to play it on an Italian organ. Here it is on the Grabowski sample set from Alessandria. That then was Elgar's Love's Greeting, a rather lovely little piece of music, very kitschy, but very cute. And it obviously won the heart of Mrs. Elgar because she said yes. So that's the important thing there. That's it for today. Thank you for watching. We'll be back in a couple of days with more exciting organ news and some more exciting organ music. Thanks for watching. Thanks for checking out the Start Next campaign below if you want to be involved in the new CD project. The sooner we get it all together, the sooner I can get everything composed and recorded and sent out around the world. So over to you. See you next time. Bye bye.